Welcome. Welcome.
Welcome. Let's wait for everyone to get here and for the streams to show up on the different places.
Okay.
I'm waiting for
Where are you
that.
streaming today, Sarah?
We're streaming today on both the Facebook group and on the Tech Editor Hub free Facebook group, the Tech Editor Hub Facebook page, and then the Tech Editor Hub YouTube channel. So I love this kind of software that lets us go in all these different places.
Oh,
So
yeah. It makes it very
hello.
convenient.
Please, we can see you're joining us now. So throw your name and where you're joining us from into the chat. We'd love to chat with you and hear what kind of questions you have. So just to introduce myself, my name is Sarah Walworth. I am the owner of the Tech Editor Hub. I'm a knitting tech editor and a pattern grader. And I really love the nerdy aspect of fixing problems in patterns. It's really fun for me. And joining me today is...
Hi, I'm Melissa. I also edit the knitting and the crochet patterns, and I grade both of those. And I also grew up loving to solve puzzles and do proofreading on my younger siblings' documents and stuff for school. So this was a perfect fit.
So proofreader and an editor, not just...
Yeah, well, I didn't do it professionally, of course, but I still do that with my daughter. You've got a paper to turn in. Here, let's take a look, and we'll see if everything lines up and looks right. And then there you go, off you go.
So
But yeah.
we both learned how to tech edit by coming to the Tech Editor Hub, finding a course that was like, oh, you can do something besides just knit or read patterns. You can actually work as an editor in the knitting and crochet in the yarn industry and make patterns better. And I know for me, I don't know about for you, Melissa, but when I read about what it is to be a technical editor, I was like, oh, this is the job for me.
Yeah, I actually started out first just, of course, knitting, learning how to knit. And then when I couldn't find patterns that I wanted, I started designing. And then people, of course, are like, give us the pattern too. So I wrote it up, and I had no idea what a tech editor was at that point. I just wrote up the pattern and gave it to people. But then I started networking with other designers, and I noticed I had a real good eye for detail, especially in other people's patterns, of course, not my own. But in other people's patterns, I would notice things like there was a comma instead of a period and stuff like that. Right. So they started giving me their unpublished patterns and saying, hey, can you just put some eyes on these? And of course, I wasn't doing it professionally. I just did it for friends on the side. And then I noticed how much fun I was having. So I decided one day, after putting it off for years, to just go for it and to take the course from the Tech Editor Hub, the original course from the Tech Editor Hub, and fill in all those gaps. Make sure I had my whole checklist, everything, my ducks in a row, so to speak, so that I wouldn't miss anything. And yeah, never stopped.
Yeah.
So,
and
yeah, at the time, though, it's just it was just the knitting course.
And I did the same thing because I realized, okay, I could just go and edit people's patterns and do it, but it felt like the course was like a shortcut to the goal of getting into this job that I knew was perfect for me a little bit faster. And so you've worked as a tech editor now for a few years, and what happened?
I can't remember how many. Well, I started noticing that people were asking for help with their crochet patterns. And it seemed like for every 10 knitting editors, there was maybe one crochet editor. Maybe for every 15 knitting graders, there was only one crochet grader. So I held off for a while thinking, oh, well, it's got to be too different. But then I realized, no, most of this is kind of the same. It's the same, but it's different, if that makes sense. Kind of like knitting is still sticks or a hook and string or yarn, but it is different. So I actually learned how to crochet first before I learned how to knit.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I'm
I
a
broke my
crocheter
foot.
first, believe it or not.
Broke my foot 2 days before I was supposed to go to the beach on a family vacation. And so I'm in a cast, and my grandmother takes pity on me, and she's like, "Here, we'll go to the five and dime store, on the boardwalk." Me hobbling along, crutches beside her, and she let me pick out my pattern. So I picked out this Barbie doll dress,
Uh-huh.
not a pattern I would recommend for for
For
first
your
time
first
crochet.
pattern?
For my first pattern, yeah, yeah. But she was very patient, and we had the thread, the crochet thread, and it was wild pink because Barbie, and
Right.
then little tiny steel crochet hook, and made that dress. It wasn't perfect, but that's where I got my start, and then years later learned how to knit. Um, so I have a background in crochet
Yeah.
from my grandmother all them years ago.
That's awesome that you were able to learn from her instead of learn
Mm-hmm.
from a book or like me
Oh,
learning from like YouTube or something. Well,
yeah,
YouTube
no,
wasn't
that was
around, but
that was knitting. Knitting was from the internet because I
yes.
didn't know anybody who knit.
Yep.
But yeah,
So today we're here to answer your questions. Thank you all
yes.
for joining us. Please throw any questions you have for us into the chat. Melissa and I right now, we announced yesterday that the Learn to Tech Edit Crochet course is now open for enrollment just during this week. And we want to make sure we come on and give you all an opportunity to ask any question you have about crochet tech editing, about running a business, about fixing patterns, about working with designers or publishing companies or yarn companies. So please throw your questions into the chat and we'll do our best to answer. But we did get a lot of questions already. I don't know how many, like something like 34, 33 questions over the last week. They're really good. And so we're going to
That's
answer
just the
some of
last
those.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just the last week.
We get questions all the time, but that was this last week.
Yes.
So maybe we can start with some of these while we're waiting for you to, if you guys have any questions, throw them into the comments, and then we'll answer some of these while we're waiting for you guys to go ahead and add them. What do you think? What should we start with?
Start with some basics.
Yeah.
Start with the basics.
All right. So the basics is, what crochet skills are needed to be a crochet tech editor? How will I know when I'm ready?
Okay, so this one, I would say you need to have an intermediate level. At the top of the pattern, where at the header it'll say skill level or difficulty level. If you can work from a pattern at an intermediate level, you are good to go. And things that you haven't come across before or that are new to you, you can learn those particular stitches along the way. I know I've come across a couple new ones, and so I had fun learning how to do those. But yeah, definitely an intermediate level. And then how will you know when you're ready? Yeah, if you can crochet at that intermediate level and you can read a pattern and you are ready to take that step and start your own business, then go for it.
So anybody who is learning how to, whoops, I didn't mean to put that up yet. Anybody who wants to be a crochet tech editor, they need to know how to read a crochet pattern, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just because that's what you're going to be working on. So
no, and a lot of crocheters, they will like to wing it, free spirit it, just grab a hook and start chaining and make the thing out of pattern. So that's fine, but you have to be able to read a pattern in order to check a pattern for somebody else.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I think one of the other great questions we got, and we get this question a lot, is do you have to be certified to work as a technical editor?
Nope. You don't even have to take this class.
No.
You can just jump in. But you might feel a little bit more confident if you do have some training.
Yeah.
beforehand. But
Yeah.
no, there is no certification, like there would be to become a teacher or,
Right.
an industry professional in another field. There is, I don't even think there is a certification for crochet tech editors.
Not
Not
in the
that I've
United
seen.
States. No. Yeah.
No. Maybe we
So
should come up with one.
I
Tell
don't
everybody they
know.
have to. No, 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 no.
No, in fact, I think being certified doesn't mean anything because there isn't a certifying agency at least in the United States.
No.
You have to have experience in the craft. You got to know to be able to spot mistakes in a pattern. Like you have to be able to
Mm-hmm.
know that things are going to be wrong. Um, and you have to be willing to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know something in a pattern, you got to go find out.
Mm-hmm.
But the prerequisites for becoming a technical editor just mean you're just good at your craft and you
Mm-hmm.
see the errors in patterns and you want to make patterns better and you want to work with designers to help them improve their patterns. I think that would be great certification.
Well, and I think a certificate just certificate just tells people, yes, I've learned this, and yes, I've proven that I know this. However, you can do the same sort of thing with a portfolio. You can
Yeah.
gather up patterns that you've edited and have either links or pictures. Make sure you've got the designer's permission if you're reusing anything. But
Right.
if you make a portfolio of your work, then anyone who is interested in looking at your services down the road can just go to your portfolio and say, okay, they've edited something like I plan on designing. And
Yeah.
sometimes I think that can be more credible
Yes.
even than a certification.
Yeah, and it's really important as you build your business to have a
Yeah.
portfolio that people can refer to see that you have some experience underneath your belt. So that takes some time, some effort, but it's definitely worth it. So
Yes, definitely worth it.
one of the questions that we also get, I'd say probably every time we open this class,
Mm-hmm.
is there room for growth and new tech editors to join the scene? And a similar
Yes.
question is, are you sure I'm going to be able to find work?
Well, as always, you are building a business when you become a tech editor for the first time. So you will have that initial growth period where you're starting out. But I was on Ravelry the other day and I looked up how many crochet patterns were published on Ravelry just this year, just 2022. And it was over 25,000.
And
Yeah,
that's just on Ravelry. That's not
25,000.
like Etsy and
That's no, yeah. And Etsy's a huge one for crochet patterns, but I wouldn't exactly know how to go through searching. It's not like a database like Ravelry is. So just on Ravelry, 25,000 new patterns, and they were all different kinds of patterns. So, yeah. And then, of course, tech editors retire or they go on to do other things with themselves. So there's absolutely room for growth. And I know pretty regularly I will get 2 to 3 requests for an edit a week to the point where I'm pushing people out a month, sometimes 2 months. And I love all my clients, but I can't edit, all 25,000 patterns.
right.
I can't even edit just a portion of that. There's
Yeah.
definitely a need.
Yeah, I think
There's
I've only
definitely a need.
edited just over 1,000 in my, and since I started editing in 2016.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I thought 25,000 patterns is a lot of patterns and a
It's a
huge need
lot of
for
patterns.
editors. Did you have this question when you first started to consider tech editing? Was this a question that ran through your mind?
Mm, not exactly worded this way. My question was more, where are these people? Where are these designers that
Yeah,
need their patterns tech edited?
right.
And we go over that in the course too. We
Yeah.
have a whole cheat sheet for you, and a whole module on where to find your people.
Yes. So
Yeah.
this is the similar, maybe a related question. Can someone actually make this a career? Like, can you
Sure. It's just
actually
like,
turn this into a full-time job?
well, if it's the same as any other business, if you work hard and you have the passion and you have the skills, the necessary skills to continue and stay focused and motivated, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Yeah, I
I
could
think,
easily be working full time doing this, but I choose not to. I choose to work part time because I have other life commitments. But yeah, if I wanted to, I could just take on everything that came across my desk and be working a typical 40-hour week.
and I think you asked a really good question, like, where do you find clients? I think this is a
Yep.
question, we didn't have it in our little bubbles here.
Hmm.
Where do you find clients? And this is something that takes a little bit of practice,
Hmm.
right? I didn't find my clients for tech editing in the first month I was advertising myself.
Hmm.
So I had to do a little research, and I had to find out where they were. And
Yep.
I also had to figure out what I wanted to do. Like,
Hmm.
perhaps as a crocheter, you really love to do home things like blankets and pillows and lace curtains and things like this. And that's your specialty. That's what you love. So then you would hone and find, where are those designers? Where are they? Or maybe you just love to do toys. And boy, is there a need for toy editors.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
What about if you like to work with new designers versus ones that
right,
have 20 years of experience under their belt?
right. So this is
You know?
something that you play with, and as you're building your business and as you're putting yourself out to offer tech editing services, that's where you hone how to find your people and your clients. And
I probably found my first clients on the Tech Editor Facebook Hub, the free one, because
mhm,
people put the request for tech editors there all the time.
right.
And the Tech Editor Hub has actually made it even easier with everyone graduating from the course being able to apply to the database.
Mhm.
And then, as I believe, because I didn't put my name in there because I have too much work. One day, maybe. But correct me if I'm wrong, but a designer submits an inquiry needing a
Mhm.
tech editor, and everybody who fits that description gets an email from the
Yes.
Tech Editor Hub,
Yes.
and then they go from
So
there.
yeah, so let's say you're a designer and you want someone to edit your socks,
Hmm.
put into the need a tech editor form on the Tech Editor Hub website, and then I send it out to everybody on my editor list, and then they can contact the designer with their portfolio and their experience and their offer to work. So
Hmm. So much easier than how I first started out.
it's a new system. I hope it's working okay. I have
Yeah.
to reach out to the designers to make sure. So let's talk. The other thing that I think we got asked this last week, which was a great question, is, if I am a designer, will this help me learn how to tech edit my own patterns?
So this is a yes and no question. This will help you get your own patterns ready to hand off to another tech editor. I never advise anyone to tech edit their own patterns because the best way to find errors in your own pattern is to edit it like 100 times yourself, publish it, and then all of a sudden, oh, hey, you've got an error in your pattern, you know.
Exactly.
So this will help you make sure that you've got everything ready to go for your own tech editor. But yeah, no, don't do it. Don't try to tech edit your own patterns. Bonus
And
though, networking. If you network with the other editors, you can trade edits.
yes.
So
So
love
if you
that.
network with another tech editor that's also a designer, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. Did I not phrase that clearly? Yeah,
No, I was just clarifying.
if you tech edit and design and they tech edit and design, you guys can swap patterns and trade jobs like that.
That's right. And I mean, this is part of why we have the Tech Editor Hub. Is while tech editing is something that we do here in front of our computer by ourselves with our little I use graph paper and and pen and paper and our spreadsheets. It's not as it can be an isolating job, but we don't want you to be isolated. So we try our best to make sure you have a community to contact for help, for problems, and when you get stuck, let's say you don't understand a particular stitch, or how would this work, or is this correct, or I need some feedback. Did I do this right? This is why when you join Learn to Tech Edit Crochet, you actually get knit into, you're not the only one. You're not doing this by yourself. You have connections with other crochet tech editors. So,
and we have our own Facebook group that's private, so you can ask questions without worrying about the designer, for example, seeing you asking questions about their pattern.
right.
So, yeah.
So the other thing that people have asked about the content of the course is, do you cover how to check grading in a pattern, or do you teach me how to grade a pattern?
I do not teach crochet grading. That would be a whole course in and of itself, and that is a whole separate skill aside from editing.
Right.
What I do teach, however, is how to take the numbers from your crochet pattern and compare them to a sizing chart to make sure that if it's a garment, it'll fit whatever body that it was intended to fit, and that the sizes are evenly sized up, so you don't have let's say a 32-inch chest, 34-inch chest, 36-inch chest, 48-inch chest, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So, and this is kind of important to tech editing, is making sure things fit the bodies that they're intended for. So we do talk a lot about this in our community, but also I think it's super important as a tech editor to understand how to do this, how to check grading, but you don't have to know how to grade in order to check grading. So
no, you just have to have an eye for detail, and if something looks off,
right,
then you pay attention to that area just a little bit more closely.
Very good. The other thing that we've been asked about are just related to the course structure and stuff like that. So can you tell us a little bit about how the course is run and how it's structured?
Sure. So it is 7 weeks worth of lessons, and it's all divided up into modules. And sometimes you'll get a couple modules at a time if they're more of a simple sort of learning that week. And then other times you'll get just one module if it's something more like checking all of the numbers in a pattern. And we take you from starting, making decisions about how you're going to begin. And we don't tell you where to tech edit, what programs to tech edit on, what kind of mouse to buy, what kind of laptop to buy, any of that. But we give you the
Although
questions.
I would suggest having 2 screens, one for your spreadsheet and one for your pattern, but
yeah, I like that, but that doesn't happen for me very often. No, a lot of times I tech edit on the go, whereas Sarah probably doesn't do that as much. So I have an iPad that I can tuck into a bag or a purse or, someplace backseat of my car, and I can edit on the go, whereas, different lifestyle. And that's why we don't tell you,
right,
go buy this, go purchase that, use this software, make sure you're, sitting in a chair at a desk in your own office, because different lifestyles need different decisions. But we start from there, and then we start with a checklist that is given to you through the course. And we take our big pattern, and every lesson is we're going to check this in the pattern. We're going to check the next thing. We're going to check the next thing. And we use the big pattern as our homework. So by the time you're finished with the 7 weeks of the course, you've gone through that pattern top to bottom, line by line, and you've checked everything. But in the lessons and the modules, we'll use other patterns, and I'll pull other patterns up on my screen, ones that I won't have available to download, but that you can see what I'm looking at as far as, say, for like usually the information is on the first page, like what hook you need, what type of yarn you need, the sizing, the whether the pattern is English or UK terminology, that sort of thing. We go over all that using different patterns, and then you take your homework pattern and you edit that pattern. And then when that is wrapped up, that pattern is wrapped up.
Wait, homework. So does that mean you get the answers, right?
Yes. No, you don't send me your homework. I have enough homework to grade from my students. But no, we let you check your own pattern, your own homework.
Right.
Yeah. So then you can, and homework is, remind me, Sarah, because I know we changed this. Homework is given to students.
It comes out on Monday, and it's available right away. But let's say you have a question that week about that specific homework.
Yeah.
You can submit your question in the course itself or as a comment. Yeah. And then we send a roundup email on Fridays with all the questions that we've received from the students, and you will get an email every Friday that the course is running with the current questions. What's the top of everybody's mind related to that module?
Yeah. So you can either put your question right in the comment section underneath the module, and I'll answer it right there. Or if it's more of a general question, then you toss it in a form to come to me.
Or if it's something you want to ask the community, then you can dash on over to the Facebook group and say, hey, what about this? Or what do you think about me? Can you guys check out my website and see what you think? Did I miss something in my Instagram profile for telling people I'm a tech editor? That sort of thing.
So some questions are better for a crowd. It's like, has anybody ever used this software program?
Right.
Where me, you'll just get one answer. The rest of the community will get more of a well-rounded reply. So then after we're done the pattern, then we talk about your business and how to find your people and how to get started with telling other people that you have this great new business.
Yes. And how to get hired. It's a big part of having a service-based business is you've got to get clients. So when they're done with the course, the students will have edited what? Like how much? How much experience do they get?
They will have edited a whole sweater pattern, a lace sweater pattern that I believe has 9 sizes, top to bottom. And then they will get that pattern back from the designer with an update, and they'll go, what?
It happens so much. Like,
oh yeah.
You send the first draft back with your first pass of edits.
Yeah.
And then a couple weeks later, you get it back in your email, and it's completely different. You have to re-edit it.
Yes, you have to go back through and you do another edit on it with the same process. So you'll have edited, it'll be the same pattern, but it's different enough that you have to, it's like editing it twice, editing 2 patterns.
Yeah. So that's really cool that the course actually takes you through the whole editing process. It teaches you how to edit while bringing you through the editing process, which is very, very cool.
And it teaches you how to get hired, because all of the above is useless if you can't get hired.
Right. So some of the questions we have gotten in is, one of them is, can we ask questions of Melissa after the course is over?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I still get questions from former students. Absolutely.
And Melissa's in the Facebook group still. And you guys have access to her website, her email. You can call, you can message her there or in any way. And I think that's part of taking a course in the Tech Editor Hub. We don't leave you high and dry. At least that's not our intention. We're here for you. So anytime you need anything, you have access to the course for at least a year. You can join back in and work through the whole thing again whenever the next round is. I think that was one of the other questions we got recently was, I have to start late. Like, I can't do it this month. I have too much going on in October. Can I still sign up and work at my own pace?
Yes. And we did that on purpose. because lives are busy and things happen, and we don't want you to feel like you're behind. So, yes, definitely you can work at your own pace. Now, the modules are released on a timed schedule, so you can't work ahead, at least as far as I
Well, I
realize.
can open a
I know you,
module if you have to.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you have to, like if you really are dying for that next module, if you really are dying to check all those numbers. But yeah, as long as the module's already been released, you can go back and rewatch it as many times as you want, whenever you want.
And this is also kind of indicative of how tech editing is. There is a lot of freedom in this job to work, first of all, in an area of the craft that you love to work in, that you're good at, and also to work in a way that works best for you. So we don't want to box you in. If you need to take your time to do the course and work through it slowly because of life commitments, or you're just doing it at your own pace, is absolutely okay. Let's say that you have a 2-week window, though, to where you want to just cram it all in, get it all done. You just email me and I'll open up the modules for you so you can have them faster. It's absolutely okay. Let me see. I think we had this one. I can't join now. Like, people are like, this is not a good time for me. Will you offer this again in the future?
Yes, early spring. Think February, March,
Mm-hmm.
maybe late January. Yeah, very early spring.
And, winter sometimes is real quiet for tech editing. So that early
Well,
spring. Well, no, you don't think
maybe
so?
maybe for knitting,
Oh, no.
but think of all of those crochet bikini tops.
Oh,
Yeah, they have
yes.
to be ready for summer.
So February, March is
So,
excellent time to learn how to crochet or
yeah,
tech edit.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. And then I think the last question that we got, which is actually a really good one, is I can't afford this. It's too expensive for me.
Well, starting a business does require startup costs. Any business,
Mhm.
any business. So, yes, Tech Editor Hub does have a payment plan where they break up the payments, which will help. You can also check with your local tax advisor, but in many places, I know for me in the United States, I can write this course off because I have a business license. Totally write this off. Any training that I do, I can write off as long as it's my business related.
Mhm.
The other thing to keep in mind is that typically, I think we had done the math one time, Sarah, and it was between 4 to 6 jobs pays for the course.
Right. Yes.
Trying to do the math in my head, but I think that comes out about right, depending on the size of the job, of course, and all of that, and your pricing, what you decide to charge per hour. It pays for itself within 4 to 6 jobs, maybe 8 if you're doing very, very
If
small
you're doing
jobs.
small patterns, short patterns that don't take
Yeah,
a lot of time.
yeah.
And this is the tricky part for when you're making this kind of life decision is, do I wait to do this? What happens if I wait? Um, what will my life look like 5 years from now if I wait another year to get started when I know that this is for me? And I really struggled with this. I don't know if you did, Melissa. When I first found tech editing as a career, I was like, I gotta jump now. I gotta do this. And it was an investment. It was hard. It was hard to wrap my mind around. Okay, I have to begin a business, so I have to
Mhm.
make a financial investment. And
And
I
I
it,
was the
go
yeah.
ahead.
I was gonna say I waited because I
Yeah,
thought I had to have expensive software that was hundreds of dollars a month,
right.
and never once used that software. So I wish I hadn't waited, but
Mhm.
hindsight and all.
Yeah. So you have to really consider, is now the time, and what will your life look like in
Mhm.
5 years from now if you wait a year or if you don't wait a year?
Mhm.
And it's okay to consider your resources and to figure out what's best for you for investing. And so basic Learn to Tech Edit Crochet is open for signups through this Friday. You guys have any questions now who are watching, please throw them into the chat. We haven't gotten any questions.
I can't see any questions, and I can't see if anybody's actually watching from my end.
There are some people watching.
Hi
people. And unfortunately, I don't know that I can see any questions in YouTube. I think I'm gonna pop over there.
Okay.
And see if I can.
Well, and of course, this will be available for replay. So if you're watching this on replay,
right,
drop your questions in, because we can always come back and give you a typewritten answer.
Yeah. So, and here, hold on. Let me mute that real quick. Yeah, I don't see any questions over on YouTube either.
Well, maybe we answered them all.
We did. We answered a lot.
Yeah.
One thing to keep in mind is that enrollment's only open till this Friday, and then it'll close again till spring. And we do open regularly, usually every quarter, because we do this in a way where we want people to come in as a group so we can take care of you. We don't want we want everyone to feel as part of a group, especially in relation to getting your questions answered and getting your help and getting started in this. So the course sells for
$347 US dollars.
$347 US, and we have a payment plan of, okay, I'm not going to be able to remember.
It was $199 a month for 2 months.
For 2 months, so you can break it up into 2 payments.
Yep.
And I'm going to put into the chat, I will put the link to the page if you guys are interested in it. And feel free to email us or message us or even leave a comment below if you're watching this on the replay, if you have any more questions that we didn't answer. We really want to make sure that you know, if you are interested in learning how to tech edit crochet, that you're very sure that this is it and this is for you. We don't want you to feel like, I don't know. We want you to have that excitement that we did. Yeah. Yes, this is for me, and ready to jump in, and that's going to lead to a lot of success. Do you have anything else, Melissa?
I think we've covered it all. I hope to see some of you or all of you. Oh, knocking over my ring light. Hope to see. My studio around me is falling apart. It's time to go.
Time to go.
No, I certainly hope to see some or all of you guys in Learn to Tech Edit Crochet soon. I'd love to meet you guys.
Yes. Thanks for being here, and thank you for watching, and feel free to contact us with any questions that you have.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you soon. Thanks, Melissa.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sarah.